Hello, welcome back. Welcome back to the Mike Tapes podcast. I'm so sorry. I'm your host, Caroline Lovett, and I am here with Kaci Koelker and Isabel Ollerton, two lovely alumni and current members of our theater troupe at Western Center Academy, and we are going to talk about some old stuff, you know? Thank
yeah. Woo.
Old stuff.
Old people.
Firstly, Isabel, I need you to say something so they can know who your voice is.
Oh, hi, I'm Isabel Ollerton. I am class of 2020.
All right.
And I've been in WCA theater all 4 years of high school.
Gang. Kaci, that's a you gotta top that intro.
Okay, I'm a junior at UCSD. I'm a theater major.
You're kind of a junior.
I am an alumni from WCA High School. I was also in theater for my 4 years of high school. Right. And I played Gertrude in our Hamlet production.
Right, so we're gonna talk about
my mom.
We're gonna talk about Hamlet, which was the first production that theater ever kind of did, right? Yeah.
So it wasn't even theater at that point. It was a project for the AP Lit class that Opperman needed to fill some sort of curriculum or just give them something to do, basically. So she had them cast us, and our Lord and Savior Keith Rossi came to help direct it. And she kind of Mrs. Opperman went scouting and made a bunch of STEM nerds audition for theater and opened up the possibility of having a art school inside the STEM school. I'm not going to call it a STEAM school because it was still very segregated at that point.
It was.
But yeah, she kind of awoken the fact that we all kind of don't want to do science forever.
Our school was kind of like, here's a bunch of science classes that you're definitely going to need for real life situations, and then Opperman kind of went, hey, you know what would be cool? Let's just do theater. And everyone was like, what the heck? No. And then we did. And now it's still happening.
It was like, no, stop. And she was like, we're not gonna. And then we made it a class.
And then we made it a troupe. And then we got inducted into the International Thespian Society, and it just went downhill from there.
And now there's gonna be like 2 classes. I don't even know.
It's great. It's great.
So fun.
We still don't have band or dance or cheer or any of that stuff. But you know what? Who
We're
needs
still
that?
kind of in theater. I mean, do we all remember Sergio playing the violin, the guitar, and an accordion in theater?
Oh, legendary. He did it all.
Sergio, for you guys that don't know, listening, Sergio was our first Hamlet, and our first, if this is openly known, he was our first problematic actor. And I'll talk about that more later.
Why not? Talk about it now.
Well, I feel like you need the background.
There's a build-up.
All right, so tell us the story. Tell us the whole story.
All right. So, I guess I'm going to start, by introducing the cast of Hamlet. So we had Allison, Rosa, Nutric, John, Daniel, who is Isabel's brother, Cheeseman, I'm just going to call him by his last name because it's what we called him, Eric, Sergio, Kylie, and Rebecca, who were our Lord and Saviors, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and they were very much like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern from RGO Dead. Yeah, they were like the light of the darkness during these times. Catalina, who was my right-hand man, she played Ophelia, and Noah, who you guys have very much gotten acquainted with, played Leontes and the girl.
Wait a minute. There's a Leontes in Hamlet?
What's his name? The one guy.
I was like, Leontes is from...
Leontes.
I was like, Leontes is from Winter's Tale. I named my guinea pig after Leontes. I'm pretty sure that's not right.
It's an elf. Yeah. So,
it's similar enough.
That's what I would have cast. For the most part, the main group that I remember being together the whole time was me and Eric, Kat, Noah, Sergio, and Cheeseman. For some reason, we were all together the entire time, and Danielle, because we were in a lot of scenes together. So it was a lot of after-school rehearsals. There was no in-class session we'd stay there till like 4 to 5, and then later on maybe to 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this was the age of Saucy Rossi directing. This was the birth of Saucy Rossi, if you guys haven't heard of the legend. He's a English lit teacher.
Yes, I think he's changing.
Specializes in Shakespeare.
He's teaching something else next year, but he taught me AP Lit this year. Well, taught me as much as he could before quarantine happened, and now I don't get to learn Great Gatsby. Anyway.
Ooh.
Oh no!
He's a big theater nerd though, and he was he like co-director, or was he like one of the main directors with Opperman for?
He directed the most. Opperman was still very new to directing, obviously, because this was her, I believe, her first time outside of her being in school.
It was.
So it was mostly him taking the lead because he was an actor. And slowly Opperman took the reins more as we did Little Shop of Horrors, because Rossi was not well acquainted with. So
he wasn't a big fan of contemporary theater.
Musical theater.
Yeah.
Gross.
So, some other members of our team include our 3 costumers. This was before the legendary costuming room that I'm very jealous of, and before the wondrous Mrs. Gallagher. So this is pre-Gallagher. We had, to my knowledge, there might be more that I'm missing, but we had 3, Vanessa, Gracie, and Caitlin Chadwick, and they also did our hair and makeup, which my hair took 3 hours to braid into a crown, because I had hair down to my waist, and they just couldn't grasp my fragile little blonde white girl hair. And Isabel, this is my first question for you. Do you remember our makeup?
I do. I had pictures of Daniel's makeup because it was so intense. It was ooh.
Was there?
I think we had Ross's daughter or his friend, a younger
Oh yeah, there was that lady that came in and helped.
Yeah,
I remember meeting her once, and she never came.
It was traditional Shakespearean theater when the stage is 100 yards or 1,000 yards away type of
intense light. I remember the intense
contour
on Daniel's face. And
it looks like we had brown or black depending on your skin tone, streaks down our nose and then a little bit on our forehead and chin to define the areas. But we had me, Kat, and Kylie were freshmen, and we were and Rosa Nutri. We were scared of being alive anyways, and we had to walk around with curlers in our hair and this makeup in the school, and I was like, I'm gonna get beat up.
You ran so that we could walk. You ran so that we could walk, because we still do that.
It's more, we know what we're working with now. Back then, it was
we didn't have a theater class back then. Yeah, it was what are you doing? It was no one understood that, those are the theater kids. They were what's a theater? It wasn't
you're doing all that for a project? Ooh.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? That's disgusting. Go do freaking AP Bio.
Go do math.
Go learn how to conjugate stuff. I don't know. Is that a math term? I think that's a church term. Conjugate?
That's congregate.
Congregate.
That's the church term.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Congregation.
Yeah, I got it.
I don't know. We're the wrong people to ask about church.
Uh-oh. Okay. Some fun moments include the first backstage meetup. So this is the first cross your hands and hold and then pass the energy type movement. And our original, our OG theater song, which I'm sure other theaters can relate to because it's a very popular song. But this was the first time that we all got down to Bohemian Rhapsody together.
Aww.
So I specifically remember everybody me especially, taking off my heels because that was the first time I ever walked in heels in my life because I didn't have character shoes. So nude heels. So everyone taking off their shoes, ripping out of the uncomfortable parts of our costume, and then just losing our mind to Bohemian Rhapsody after our performance. Because as bad bad as we all knew the performance went, like, objectively, subjectively, it was amazing because we did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, we auditioned in December. We got our results in January, and then I think we had, like, 3-4 months before we put this on, and this was, like, that may be, like, a normal amount of time for a play, but it was Hamlet. We chopped it down a lot. We showed it to a select number of the middle school and the majority of the high school, I think.
I never got to see it, which is so sad. But,
yeah, it was, I don't know how they chose who to show.
I don't know.
But the whole time, this is a little, like, I'm going off on a tangent, but the whole time, the audience was afraid to emote because Mrs. Opperman had made a statement saying to have appropriate reactions. So at all the funny parts, people didn't laugh, and nobody really, like, yeah. So it was us with, like, really shoddy mics on stage with intense makeup.
It's kind of like, okay, this is super, super off topic, but with everything going on with this witch's curse that's been set on the world, the wrestling, like, final, I don't know what wrestling does, but, like, final thing happened recently, and they couldn't allow an audience in there, and wrestling has one of the loudest audiences, so it was just two people hitting each other in silence.
Fantastic.
Which I feel like is kind of, okay, so, like, Hamlet was done in, like, 4 months. That's about a normal time for theaters to do shows, but that is for professional theaters. This show was done in 4 months by a ragtag group of freaking, like, freshmen.
English
students at a STEM school that have never done a show before, most of them, directed by one person who had experience, go Mr. Rossi, and one person who has only ever done English, never did theater, I don't think, at least. Maybe she did some in high school, I don't know. It was also done at a school without a actual theater, because obviously we're a STEM school, why would we have a theater? It was in, like, the Piazza, right?
Oh, yeah, we know the setting. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Go ahead. It was in the museum.
It was in the museum?
It was in,
it was in that rock
project,
room?
like, the mammoths, like, display. Yeah, that rock room. It was
I did
there.
not know that.
Yeah, it was in the rock room.
That's
we had the lights, like, legit 2 feet away from our faces.
Oh, so they were, like, close.
Yeah.
Oh.
No room 5.
Dang.
The backstage was, like, you have to leave the entire theater to be backstage. Like, that room.
Yeah.
So all the entrances are, like, walking up a really long ramp. So it takes a really long time to get from the door to the stage. So we had to book it onto the stage every time you exit or enter. And, oh my god, I just remembered, when the lights go out between scenes, you can't see anything. And there was one makeshift staircase off. So let me paint a picture. So it's the stage, and the stage is lined with rocks to make it look like it's, like, a cliff or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to put your legs over the rocks in order to get down. So there was a staircase up against the rock wall part of, like, the edge of the stage. You have to go over that to get onto the staircase and go down. And there was a space between the staircase and the wall where you put your leg over expecting a staircase and there's nothing. And at least, like, probably 20 times, our cast, including myself, has not been able to find the staircase in time. And or fallen completely off the stage and then ran out.
Oh my god!
So, like, freshmen Kaci and Kylie and Kat are wandering around in the dark on stage while the audience can clearly see them, but we can't see them because the lights are in our face. Or, like, it's like you're not accustomed to the darkness because of the lights. And we're, like, swinging our arms around on stage trying to find the stair ladder, and then the lights come up, and as soon as we see the stage, we get on it. Or the stairs we get on.
That's horrible.
Absolutely traumatic. This whole play was traumatic, but it was probably the best thing I've ever done.
For those of you who haven't been in the museum, I know there's a lot of students at Western Center who've never been in the museum, and there's also some of my listeners are not from Western Center. Like, I know of specific people who aren't. Like, the guy who made my my intro, the animated one. He is in love with the show. It's hilarious. He always gets, like, really excited. Yeah, shout out to Cruz in Saudi Arabia listening to this to help him learn English. It's legendary. He's gonna bug me for that. Anyway, for those of you guys who have not been in the museum, there is a very small room, and it is like spherical almost. I'm describing the stage, and it's just got a big projector, and that's where they put Santa Claus sometimes. And all of the seats are rocks, and it's just made to look like the inside of a cave because it's an archaeology museum. And that's apparently where they decided to do Hamlet for the first time, because that seems like a great idea. It really was. Did you guys not have a set? Like, did you have a set at all?
No.
You just...
I only remember chairs and flowers. Was like the only like designation of space.
How did you guys
I
do
remember
like
chairs and like a sword, I think.
How did you guys do basic things? Like Hamlet is okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I just my brain just like mixed up Hamlet and oh heck, what is that show called? I am dumb. Macbeth. I am so sorry for saying that. Macbeth. I was like because we just read Macbeth in AP Lit, and I was like, how did you guys do the witches and the ghost and stuff? But you know what, Hamlet does have a ghost. Yeah. Why is there so many ghosts in Shakespeare?
How Isabel? Before I describe who the ghost, can you explain your experience of when the ghost came out for the first time?
I remember sitting on one of the rocks, and I remember hearing, like, because I was really close to the exit of the theater, and I remember hearing, like, around that little ledge that covers the entrance, just, get it on, sit it up, go, 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 go. I'd look over my shoulder, and I see them just rushing to coat Noah in the ghost costume. And he walked in, and I was like, wait, what is that?
Who are you?
Because I didn't know anything about Hamlet, and like,
and
so like, well, I don't know what that is. And so that's my experience.
Look at that Pillsbury Gilman that's coming on stage.
Isn't
that interesting?
Is he wearing a helmet?
It was like a angry rhino in a china shop as soon as Noah came off stage as Laertes. Yeah, Laertes, right? Yeah. Those three cosmic girls. I think it was just Vanessa and Gracie, I think. Ripped off his clothes and put on the ghost costume and pushed him out, and he was like, "Oh, I'm a bull." And he was always really threatening. And me and Kat had this ongoing joke that his weapon of choice would be a hairdryer that was constantly plugged into a wall, and he would just be like with a hairdryer.
But he also couldn't move further than the cord. Like,
we didn't think about it, but I guess so. His powers are eliminated as soon as he goes 5 feet away from the wall. Another quick shout out, someone I forgot to talk about, is Izzy, who was our tech goddess for the first few years of theater.
Oh yeah, Izzy still comes back all the time.
There's no way any of the first 3 performances would have happened without her. So I just want to give a quick shout out.
I need to tell her to listen to the podcast, because I don't have any contact with her. You know what, Casey? You gotta get all the alumni on this thing, because as much as this podcast...
I was gonna ask you before we started, we gotta get, like, Eric and Daniel.
You need an Eric and Daniel cast.
Yeah, that would be, like...
I have a list of all my ideas for podcast stuff, so I'll see actually if I think I have one just for, like, straight up alumni, and, like, what happened. Oh, yeah, I have one for what people do after this one that, like, go into theater, like, post-theater stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Which I totally would have invited you to, but, I don't know, this one's cool, too.
Uh-oh.
Right, okay, Casey, you still have more topics, because, okay, listeners, I had no idea what to ask them this time, and apparently Casey prepared too, so just like Crystal Chen did for yearbook. So, listen to the yearbook episode. So anyway, Casey has, like, a bunch of topics and things, which is great, because I didn't even see Hamlet. I'm just here to talk about it 4 years later.
Okay. Let me start here. Do you guys want to guess what our call time was?
When our call time was for Hamlet?
I have an idea, because Daniel was in it.
Let me guess,
so I think
it was
Caroline should guess.
When was the showtime? Like 6? 7?
It was I don't remember. Maybe like 3?
Okay,
There
so
was 2. One was earlier in the morning.
if the show started at 8,
I think I went to like the 4
here's what I'm
p.m.
thinking.
show.
Here's what I'm
It
thinking.
might be like noon. We should have had a show time.
Here's what I'm thinking. If the show was at, say, 8, if there was a nighttime one, if the show was at 8, Opperman usually did our call times about 4 hours before. So I'm going to say it's about 4. But I also know that it was our first show, and you just said you had 3 hours of hair. So for an 8 o'clock show, I'm going to guess it's around noon.
Okay, so I believe our first show was at noon, or later, and then the next show was after school.
Yeah,
5 o'clock in the morning call
6
time.
or 5, like 5:36. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure our call time was 5 or 6 a.m.
Oh my god! That is horrendous!
And it was dark when we showed up. There was one light on in Opperman's room. We got there for donuts, and then we took a nap. And then, obviously I did not have one because allergic. But, yeah, so 5 a.m. And then after our first performance with the middle school, we go into Opperman's room. I may be getting these facts mixed up, but it doesn't matter. It's the story. We go into Opperman's room, and she starts playing our performance, and Kylie and Kat immediately pass out on the floor. And all of us kind of like sleep on tables, and we had an after party in like the staff room, which was like Miss Musela's room. I don't know. It's now Gutierrez, I think.
Gutierrez is now in the new high school area. I think you're talking about Mr. Brady's room now. Our new theater room, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you guys would just show up at 5 a.m. and take naps until it showed
That
up?
was, well, it was only one day, but it was painful because there was no reason for us to be there. We didn't have anything to do. But we were prepared.
Getting in costume 5 hours before.
The costume, by the way, for most people it was like they would take original dresses that they would like find somewhere and then alter them to fit us. But for me, for some reason, they took my measurements, they got a piece of fabric and sewed a tube together and then put a coat over me.
What?
There were other options to try things, but they didn't work because they ended up giving me a green dress and a red coat, and I looked like Mrs. Claus. But I had a tube. No shade to the costume and crew. I know it was very stressful, but it was a time.
There was 3 costumers for a full production of Hamlet. That is scary.
It was a lot.
Costumers still have to
I don't know how else to describe it.
Oh, jeez. Jeez and Crow. Go listen to the podcast episode about costuming, though. I'm so sorry.
Before I tell the story about the... Oh, whatever. Okay, I have a couple things. Okay, before I tell the story about Angry Opperman, Isabel, can you describe, because how I remember Daniel, oh my god, my voice, from freshman year, he was much more mellow and subdued than he has become. Can you comment on that?
Daniel's insane.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was a lot different, like, to seeing him in Hamlet, because, I mean, I know he had originally had more stuff to do in the show, but then they ended up cutting it, because, I mean, it's Hamlet. It was so long. And so he was like, yeah, so I'm kind of a walk-on now, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I think he was supposed to die originally.
What character
and then they
did he
cut
play?
that.
Same.
I don't know what character he played. I don't remember, but he was supposed to die.
A lot of people are supposed to die in Hamlet.
Yeah. I mean, like, Dallas was supposed to be in it, too. He was supposed to be,
Oh, dude, I cannot imagine Dallas as a theater kid instead of an ASB kid. That sounds wicked. We would have a different cast of Mammoth Time. I should do a Mammoth Time episode soon.
You should, yeah.
It's on my list. I haven't decided what next week is gonna be yet.
But yeah, he was a lot more subdued. Like, definitely, like, it changed. Like, obviously, when I started, we did, like, more of the little shop, and he got his bigger role as, like, Leonardo. And so, yeah, seeing in Hamlet, it was a lot different. So I believe it that he was more subdued then.
I feel like
I barely noticed him, which is crazy.
Mhm.
Because if you know Daniel now, or in the later years of theater when he was still there,
he's a
there's
legend.
no way not to
Big
notice.
presence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like the caffeine of theater is that man.
Theater just like changes people. You do theater once or twice, and you're just like you're a completely different person. I can thoroughly vouch for that. Even if you just like I did theater before I came to Western Center, but even doing Little Shop, which is my first show here, it was like a drastic difference from just my personality. And I think everybody kind of deal with that. Like I watched James, my brother, get a lot more comfortable with humans after his 1 year in theater, and it just like helped him. Like it helps us get jobs. It's a good time. It's a good life.
It's a
It's a good
And
life.
like some stuff, like the next year, like some stuff changed for him, and so that helped him become like more of a fan. He also became friends with Eric, and that started.
Aww. Romance. The biggest romance of theater.
Honestly,
That was a huge thing, yeah.
Casey,
very,
do we have
very
enough?
iconic.
Do we have enough background now for the Sergio thing you mentioned at the beginning of the
Yes,
episode?
that's the Angry Opperman
Oh,
saga
yeah.
that I want
okay.
to talk about.
Okay, go on.
So Sergio, the first problematic actor, so about a week or two before we're supposed to perform, Sergio has some soliloquies he hasn't memorized. And some general, like, going through some stuff. Opperman very, like, anxious, turning into frustration type moment that I know we can all relate to. Sergio was kicked out of Hamlet for a period of time. And the new Hamlet was none other than Laertes the Ghost Hamlet Noah.
Because Sergio he just didn't memorize things. He just didn't know his lines until whatever, and then you just got rid of Hamlet.
He always pulled through. He always pulled through the end. But for a couple, like, maybe like a whole day or just a couple hours, we didn't have a show. After all that, we didn't have a Hamlet, and then we had a Hamlet, but then we also had the same person playing the ghost, who is Hamlet's father, who's Hamlet and Hamlet.
Conversations with Hamlet.
It was like an actual nightmare. Luckily, Sergio did play Hamlet at the very end, but this like situation had caused a whole other level of disruption for the directors, including Mr. Rossi. Which if you've ever seen an Angry Rossi,
it's
it
devastating.
is bone chilling.
It is
terrifying.
Oh
you
my
don't want to mess with, like, after like one rehearsal, the scene where Hamlet kills Polonius.
Spoiler alert, but you know, whatever.
Gertrude,
It's 2,000 years old.
in
You
the
should
River
know.
Hamlet. You should.
Yeah.
It's the tragedy of Hamlet. They all die except for Justin Cheeseman, who played.
Only was written like 400 years ago.
Horatio. So yeah, there was like a particular day where Mr. Ross was just really like fed up and tired, and we had to film the death scene, and it was just me and Danielle screaming at the top of our lungs, and then taking a pause for 5 minutes, and Mr. Rossi being like, "Okay, can you scream a little louder at this point?" And look, great, okay, go, and then us screaming again for 5 more minutes. And
Oh my God.
it's just like that's like when you really know that like theater is exhausting, and no matter what level you're on, it's always exhausting.
It
If you
really
like
is.
just started or you're like a well-trained actor, but you've gotta like put
It's
your
just-
all into
it's
every
so
moment
much.
because you can tell how draining it is for the people watching you as well.
So
Mhm.
did you film Hamlet not live?
We filmed it live.
Okay. It sounded like you were talking, like, saying, like, you were filming scenes and then smishing it together to get the product.
Oh no, that was just like I was talking about like
Oh, okay.
rehearsing.
Theater is really exhausting. Like, wow. Like, yeah. There's not much way to describe it, because a lot of the times, even people who've never been in theater, there is, if you saw Sense Sensibility, or if you've seen something like that, even just like sitting on stage and having a conversation can be really exhausting. has the potential to do that, because you have to be 100%. Your fingers have to be doing the
like,
right
yeah,
movements.
Every inch of your body has to be someone else.
Yeah, and that's hard. That's really hard to do. It's really hard to do.
So much like bodily awareness, which we did not have back then. We were just like, I'm just afraid. I'm just gonna walk straight. I don't care if I look like a queen.
Yeah.
I'm 14. I don't know what it's like to be married. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Theater's hard. Kaci, how many more things do you have on your list?
I have a few little things, so not quite as interesting. Like, I have, me and Eric lost our crowns the entire time. I broke the earrings I was supposed to wear the first time I opened them from the box.
Oh my god.
And they didn't get fixed.
Casey.
Me and Eric both were wearing braces. I think he got out of his before the show, but it was just funny that we both had braces and we were the king and queen. Me and Kat were both freshmen, and we both had to pretend to be in relationships. Mm-hmm. And so that was just the time for us. I just wrote that down because it was interesting. I was the wine mom because Gertrude dies from drinking wine.
She's like, if you're gonna do it, I'd rather you do it in the house.
Gertrude said, honey, don't drink right now, I'll do it. It's okay. I gotcha. After the final show for the parents, we had a award ceremony, so like the production awards, but very minimized. I do not remember most of the awards. I am sorry. I think either Eric or Noah got one also, and probably Cheeseman or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I just thought this was funny because when I was a freshman, I was very subdued and quiet and shy and sad all the time, and didn't talk to anybody. And then when I went on stage, it was the only time I felt I was allowed to be expressive and allowed to be loud. So I got the award Unexpected Powerhouse from Mrs. Opperman and Mr. Rossi, and that's kind of been the foundation for my entire theater career, is that idea of a powerhouse. That's what I've tried to fulfill for the rest of my career.
That is so pure.
I can tell that there are a lot of you in theater who are also expected and unexpected powerhouses, and I love that legacy of theater.
We've got a couple of those. We have a couple of very unexpected power. Genesis Brillianti is
oh my god, yes!
Wild. She's I think
she brings it every time.
We need to bring back that award. We need to. I need to try to
bring
that.
It's my favorite award. It's such a
We don't have that anymore. We have
the light bulb.
Yeah, we have a light bulb award, which is kind of getting. Yeah.
You have that shining moment suddenly.
Yeah, and then your whole experience changes. I like those, but I think that's I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna bring it up at an officer meeting. Because that's good. That's such a pure award. I love that.
It was super cute. I was like at first I was unexpected. You didn't think I was gonna do good, but then I was like, that's how it is.
I mean, it makes sense. You were quite.
I was
small.
I was interested.
And then you were president, and then everyone was like, Kaci was quiet? Wait, when did that happen? I don't remember. Okay, well, we have reached past the 30-minute mark. So what do you two think? Do you think we should continue this or no?
I would love to talk about Rossi Era because I just remembered a really good story.
Okay,
The pizza story.
Cool. Give it 5 minutes. We'll get to it in 5 minutes, girls. Okay, so listeners, this is the first time that we're doing this. That I've decided to do this. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to end this episode here, so thank you so much for listening, and I'm going to continue this conversation with these two and make kind of a part 2 type thing. I don't know if I'll post it on Wednesday or if I will post it on next Monday, maybe probably Thursday, I don't know. Basically we're just going to continue the conversation, and we're just going to talk some more, and it'll be kind of a part 2. I will ask on Instagram whether you guys want it as a bonus episode in the middle of the week, or if you want it next week's episode, and you guys can let me know. As for this one, though, about Hamlet, thank you guys so much for coming on. I look forward to having you in about 5 minutes. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys would like to contact me, you can comment on the YouTube videos. I always check those. You can also email me at themiketapespodcast@gmail.com. That's in the description of the video as well. I am been really lazy, and I have yet to put the podcast on other streaming services, but I am working on it, I swear. I have it set up. I just haven't, flipped the final switch. As for this one, it's been super fun to have you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys in whenever part 2 comes out. So, thank you. Goodbye. Say goodbye, guys.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.